My name is Emma Collins. I'm 36 years old. 20 years ago, my parents kicked me out of the house for getting pregnant in 10th grade. 16 years old. November rain. One suitcase. My mother pointed to the door, telling me I was dead to them. That same night, they signed papers erasing me from the family, me and any child I might ever have. I kept those papers. I kept everything. For 2 decades, I was invisible. They told everyone I'd moved abroad, building their spotless reputation on the grave of the daughter they threw away. Then last week, they showed up at my door, desperate, smiling, demanding to meet their grandson, a grandson they'd been bragging about for months to 200 of their most powerful friends. They offered me $250,000. They had no idea the grandson they'd been promising everyone didn't exist, and what they found instead would tear apart everything they'd spent 50 years building. Portland, Oregon, November 2004. I was 16, a sophomore at St. Catherine's Academy and the youngest child of Mason and Diane Hollins. On paper, we were the perfect family. My father owned a successful real estate law practice downtown. My mother had been president of the Parent-Teacher Association for 4 consecutive years. We sat in the front pew at Grace Fellowship Church every Sunday, dressed in coordinated outfits my mother selected each Saturday night. But every family has its hierarchy, and I learned mine early. My older brother, Logan, was 22 and in his 3rd year of dental school, the pride of the family. My sister Olivia, 20, was studying to become a teacher, and then there was me, born when my mother was 34, 6 years after she thought she was done having children. I don't think she ever forgave me for disrupting her plans. I met Dylan Harper at the public library downtown. He was 17, worked part-time at his uncle's auto repair shop, and had the kindest eyes I'd ever seen. He found me crying in the biography section one October afternoon after my mother had forgotten to pick me up from school for the 3rd time that month. We dated secretly for 2 months. He was gentle and patient and made me feel like I mattered. October 28, 2004. I stared at a pregnancy test in the bathroom of a gas station 3 miles from my school. 2 pink lines. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. When I told Dylan, he didn't run. He held my hands and said, "We'll figure this out together, Emma. You're not alone." But I knew my parents, and I knew their first question wouldn't be, "Are you okay?" It would be, "What will people think?" Sunday, November 14th, 2004. I told them at dinner. My father didn't move when I said the words. My mother's fork clattered against her plate. When they found out Dylan attended the public school and worked at an auto shop, the silence that followed lasted exactly 11 seconds. Then my father stood and said, "If you keep that baby, you are no longer part of this family." By 9:15 that night, I was standing on the front porch with one suitcase, rain soaking through my sweater. Logan and Olivia watched from the upstairs window. Neither of them came down. I called Dylan from a payphone. 20 minutes later, his uncle's truck pulled up. He jumped out before it fully stopped, wrapped me in his jacket, and held me while I sobbed. "I've got you," he said. "I've got you." Our neighbor, 3 houses down, a retired schoolteacher named Charlotte Reeves, had seen me standing in the rain from her window. She opened her door at nearly 10 at night and said, "You can stay with me as long as you need." 2 weeks later, Dylan found us a studio apartment in Seattle, $425 a month above a laundromat that smelled like bleach and secondhand hope. My parents had their lawyer draw up papers the very night they threw me out, a notarized document stating that Emma Elizabeth Collins forfeited all inheritance rights and that the Collins family bore no legal or moral obligation to her or any child born to her. I kept that paper. I've kept it for 20 years. Sophia Grace Collins Harper was born on July 6, 2005. 7 pounds, 4 ounces, 10 fingers, 10 toes. Her father's brown eyes and my stubborn chin. She came into the world screaming, and I thought, good scream. Don't ever let anyone make you small. The first 5 years were a blur of survival. Dylan worked double shifts while I finished my GED and started community college 2 classes at a time. We lived on a ramen noodles and day-old bread. I learned to make $1 stretch until it begged for mercy. Then on March 15, 2010, a delivery truck ran a red light on Aurora Avenue. Dylan was driving home from a night shift. He was 26 years old. Sophia was 4. The life insurance paid out $12,000. That was it. $12,000 for 26 years of a good man's life. I was 22 years old, a single mother with a 4-year-old daughter and absolutely no one to call. I could have given up then. I didn't. I'd started doing small interior design projects while Dylan was alive, decorating apartments for neighbors who couldn't afford professionals, staging homes for real estate agents willing to take a chance. After Dylan died, I threw myself into that work like my life depended on it, because it did. In 2012, I met Isabella Vance at a design workshop. She was 52, recently retired as creative director of a major design firm. For reasons I still don't fully understand, she chose me. "You have talent," she said, "raw, unpolished, but real. Let me help you shape it." In 2014, with her mentorship and a $50,000 SBA loan that took me 3 attempts to secure, I founded Hearth Home Interiors. By 2022, Seattle Met magazine ran a feature story on me, from teen mom to design CEO. By 2024, 22 employees, $4.2 million in annual revenue, and a corner office overlooking Capitol Hill. 20 years, no contact from the Collins family, until Tuesday, November 5th, 2024, at 6:47 p.m. I turned onto my street and saw a black Mercedes-Benz with organ plates. 2 figures stood at my front door. The man had gray hair now, stooped shoulders. The woman still held herself with that rigid posture I remembered from childhood. Mason and Diane Collins, my parents. I had not seen them in 20 years. I considered driving away. Instead, I got out of my car and walked toward them. They told me they knew about my son, that they wanted to meet him, that they were hosting their 50th anniversary celebration at the Heathman Hotel in 10 days. 200 guests, the mayor, church elders, community leaders. They had been telling everyone about their brilliant grandson, a successful young man continuing the Collins legacy. They placed a blank check on my coffee table, $250,000. Stay for 3 hours, take family photos, and then return to your life. They also offered to reinstate me in the family trust, a combined estate valued at $3.8 million. I was about to answer when I heard footsteps on the stairs. "Mom, is everything okay?" Sophia stopped at the bottom of the stairs, psychology textbook in hand, wearing sweatpants and a University of Washington hoodie, 19 years old. My mother rose to her feet, her face cycling through confusion and something close to horror. "This is Sophia, my daughter, your granddaughter." Sophia looked at the strangers in our living room and understood immediately. "These are them, aren't they? The grandparents who threw you out when you were pregnant with me?" My father tried to recover, suggesting they could adjust the narrative, that Sophia could attend the party as a recently returned surprise. Sophia laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You want me to lie to 200 people about my entire existence?" That night, after Sophia went to bed, I pulled a fireproof lockbox from the back of my closet. Inside were the documents of my erasure, the notarized letter of disinheritance signed by Mason Allen Collins and Diane Elizabeth Collins, any dependents thereof. Sophia, reduced to 3 words in a legal document, erased before she took her first breath. I photographed every page and uploaded copies to cloud storage. Then I called Charlotte Reeves, our old neighbor. She answered on the 3rd ring. And when I told her everything, she said, "Those people, 20 years and they haven't changed one bit." I asked if she still had her security camera footage from that night. She said she never deleted anything. Old teacher's habit. Document everything. 20 minutes later, my phone buzzed with an email. A grainy but unmistakable image. A 16-year-old girl standing on a porch in the rain. 9:17 p.m., November 14th, 2004. The timestamp was visible in the corner. My brother Logan called Thursday afternoon. His voice was deeper now, weathered. He told me my mother had read the Seattle Met article 2 years ago, but hadn't read it carefully. She saw the words child and successful business and invented an entire grandson. She'd been telling her church friends and Rotary friends about this brilliant young man for months, and my father had gone right along with it. Logan also told me the anniversary party would be live-streamed on the church's Facebook page, 200 witnesses in person and thousands more watching online. Saturday, November 15th, 2024. Sophia and I walked into the Crystal Ballroom at the Heathman Hotel at 6:47 p.m. She wore navy blue, simple and elegant. I wore black, professional, understated, impossible to ignore. My father was already mid-speech when I began walking toward the stage. The crowd parted. Logan appeared at the edge of the room, Olivia beside him. They didn't stop me, they just watched. I climbed the 3 steps to the platform, took the microphone from my father's hand, and looked out at 200 faces. Hello, everyone. My name is Emma Collins. I'm Richard and Diane's youngest daughter, the one they told you went to Europe 20 years ago. The silence in that ballroom was absolute. I didn't go to Europe. On November 14th, 2004, my parents found out I was pregnant at 16. That same night, they threw me out. They had their lawyer draft papers disowning me. They told me I was dead to them. I reached into my bag and held up the notarized letter. This is the document my father mailed me 3 days later. Those words, any dependents thereof, that's my daughter, Sophia, your granddaughter whom you've never met. The grandson you've been telling your friends about doesn't exist. You invented him based on a magazine article you didn't bother to read carefully. Sophia climbed onto the stage and took my hand. I am Sophia, she said into the microphone, the granddaughter you never wanted. I've known my whole life that my grandparents chose their reputation over my mother, and by extension, over me. You could have known me. You could have been at my birthday parties, my school plays, my high school graduation. Her voice cracked, but held steady. You chose not to, and you don't get to pretend that was ever our fault. We walked off that stage and out into the cold November air. Behind us, the ballroom erupted. By morning, the live-streamed clip had been shared thousands of times. My father resigned from the church elder board within days. The fallout was real and immediate. But standing in the night air with Sophia's hand in mine, I felt something I hadn't felt in 20 years. Free. I'm not waiting for my parents to change. I'm living my life, the one I built, the one I earned, the one that belongs entirely to me. 20 years ago, I was a scared 16-year-old girl standing in the rain, watching my parents' taillights disappear. I thought my life was over. I was wrong. You don't need their validation to know your value. Setting boundaries isn't revenge, it's survival. And sometimes the family you build is stronger than the one you were born into. That's not a happy ending. It's a real one. And real endings don't need applause.